Today I'm here with Jim Gaunt from Ozone Marketing. Jim's going to talk us through some of the new wings that Ozone have been pushing, and unless you've been living under a rock, you'll have noticed that Ozone have got a whole range of new wings out this year.
Yeah, really complete range this year. We have 5 wings in the range. There's 3 of them here today, so I'll run you through these 3. But the first one that we haven't got here at the moment on the demo is the Fly. So we've got an entry-level wing, soft handles, very easy to use. Slightly less span than some of the wings here, a bit lower aspect, so very easy pumping power to get going. It's also nice in waves because all our wings are very lightweight. We build them strong, but they're very lightweight because we have our own factory. So the stitching detail that we have is unbelievable. So the wings end up being a little bit lighter.
And that's the factory in Vietnam, isn't it? You went out to that recently, I heard.
Yeah, a year or so ago. Yeah, we did a nice have a look round. Yeah, check the factory out. There's 1,000 full-time workers there over nine factory floors. Yeah, where originally we made all the paragliders, but now it's paragliders, wings, foils,
everything.
Twin tips, accessories, everything. It's an amazing space, really innovative. Our designers have full access to the factory. There's a full prototyping department there, so it's really unique. So it means that innovation can happen and come to market really quickly, like the Fusion, but we'll talk about that one. Talk about that one in a minute. So we've got the Fly, the really entry-level wing, and then new this year is the Flow. So that one has replaced the old Wasp that was in the lineup. It is completely different, completely redesigned. It's based on the Flux, which came out before the Flow, a racier model, but the Flow has a tougher leading edge material, Dacron, so it's really scuffable, so really good for, I mean, here we are on a stony beach, so that's really perfect. Good for a bit more rugged handling, slightly less span than the Flux, so it's easier to get going. It's kind of a wave free ride model.
I was going to ask you, like, who's it for? Like, who are you aiming it for? Wave free riders?
It's the do-it-all wing.
Right.
So, I mean, literally freestyle, jumping, wave riding. Even as your kind of first wing, after you've had your lessons, it will take you really, really far. Aerodynamically, it is very, very clean, and the wind range on it is huge. We've got an extended carbon handle on the front.
Yeah, I was going to say it's quite a long one, that front one, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's new on the Flow. The handle on that's a little bit longer. It gives you a lot of range of movement when you're handling the wing, and also specifically for one-handed riding.
I was going to say, like, one-handed, you can hold it and it works fine.
Yeah, it's beautifully balanced on the front handle, so you don't have to necessarily go to the surf handle.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you're riding in wave, wind swell, the swell isn't long enough to go, you know, to the front handle. So it just gives you that chance just to let go one-handed, and especially downwind is really nice because you can find that point where you just hold a bit of power.
Yeah.
So you don't need to move and you can just keep riding it downwind. But yeah, it's a beautiful wing, very, very smooth. Then we've got the Flux, which is a kind of higher performance, racier model than the Flow. Cuts up wind really well. Lighter weight, has a lighter weight Dacron on the front, which is stiffer, a lighter weight, so a little bit more delicate.
Yeah, but look after it a little bit more.
A little bit more, but
more performance.
But the high-end speed power is great on that.
Yeah, and then talking of speed.
Yeah. So
there's this crazy innovation, which is if you haven't seen one of these, get down the beach and have a look at it today. But Jim, talk us through it.
Yeah, so this is a world's first full double surface wing. So this was a amalgamation of, as I mentioned before, with our own factory. We've got the paragliders. Ozone make foil kites as well for many years, ram air foil kites. But then also we make wingsuits, squirrel wingsuits. So if you've ever seen those, the guys basically flying out of a plane, they have air intakes.
Right, to fill the wing up and put pressure in it.
Exactly, yeah. So these are a bit like the secret sauce of that. So
these are cool, aren't
yeah,
they?
there's a lot of development in here. It doesn't look like much, but basically when you're going forward, this allows the double surface to fill with air.
Yeah.
And become tight. So then you end up with this really solid double surface. So what it basically allows for is it makes the luffing point later.
Yeah.
So you can head into wind much further before the wing starts to flap because the internal is solid.
But it kind of solidifies the whole thing, doesn't it? I remember when we tested it, the faster you go, the stiffer and more inflated and harder it becomes. So then, the faster you go, the less it flaps, basically. So when the wind picks up, you go faster and it doesn't flutter at all. It's quite incredible,
Exactly,
isn't it?
yeah. It's quite a difficult sort of concept to get across, because you kind of think the faster you go, the more powerful it gets. But it's just that its apparent wind becomes stronger and it becomes happier.
Yeah.
And it just goes more and more and more. So,
and it's worth riding these wings. Like, you don't want to be a beginner or an intermediate. You've got to be quite skilled and on like a smaller foil, right, to get the most out of it.
Yeah, you can get going with less experience, but it doesn't pump the same.
Okay.
So if you're in light wind, you're kind of used to that big pump. You kind of have to let the apparent wind build up and let the wing move forward. So it's not that you can't do it, it's a different technique. So if you're a beginner or less experienced, getting used to a different technique is something else. I mean, it's also very exotically built. It's high-end materials. It's a lightweight Dacron. There's more in it, so
it's kind of specialist. If you know, you know.
Yeah, I mean, well, just in terms of looking after it, it's a bit more like, if you've got a carbon road bike, you can rag the hell out of them, but you know that you need to not drop it on the concrete.
Yeah.
It's just a bit more like that, but it's an amazing machine. Mattis Gio is two-time world champion and riding for us now, and he's winning all his first races. He's won the Defi Wing, which is a kind of an endurance race, the long distance race. The Fusion's been doing really well in that because it allows you to go faster for longer with less effort. So, but yeah, definitely you need to feel the benefit from it. If you're riding a foil kind of 800 or less, that's at the point where it really starts to open the world for you. Yeah, to be able to experiment with smaller foils and not have a wing hold you back. I think the problem before is if you want to ride a small foil, the wings.
Yeah, then the drag that you get from that, that's
exactly.
what causes the issues.
Exactly.
It certainly looks like a sexy bit of kit.
It's great, yeah, and also, when you get it in custom colours, we offer all the wings in custom colours, so you can go on the website. Because we've got the factory, we only make products to order, so there's no huge amounts of stock kicking around everywhere that we have to eventually push to market. So that also works really well for colours.
Yeah.
So you can go on the website, there's a custom colour chooser, you can basically change the panels on different colours. Yeah, and then within, and you can know that, within sort of roughly a month, you're going to have your own custom colours come to you. Yeah.
That's very cool. And then what's this one here? This looks
that's the
pretty
light
fresh.
Force, yeah. So that's another new one. It's a light wind free ride wing, two sizes, 6.6 and 7.7. And it's basically light wind fun made easy.
Yeah.
So
it looks like you've gone with a really long boom, so you can have a shorter span on it. So you're not catching those wingtips in, but you've got like a longish boom, give you a lot more power at the back.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a bit more low profile, and it's shaped, for a 7.7 wing. That is the key thing with these big wings: is how do you put the power in the wing and stop the tips from touching the water? Yeah. But you can see the stitching, but it's not over stitched, but every stitch counts.
Yeah. It's one thing I always noticed with the Ozone gear, like the attention to detail on things like the stitching, the finish. It just looks really professional every time.
Yeah.
Very rare you get one out and you're like, oh, stitching's a bit wonky, or they've, leading edge seam's a bit wayward. It's always like, super straight.
Yeah. No, the factory teams are amazing, and everyone's been there for quite a long time, so they're incredibly experienced at using these materials and how to put these things together. Yeah, and the attention to detail is just
phenomenal.
Yeah, so
it's amazing.
Yeah, lightweight, really good to fly, and just great fun in light wind when no one else is, getting out on the water. That's always fun, isn't it?
It's always good fun. Yeah. Perfect. Jim, thank you for giving us an overview of the Ozone Wing range. Available to demo today. Get yourself down to Littlehampton.